Hiya girls, so my name again is Emma, in case you've forgotten. So Zoe and I will just sort of go through the menstrual cycle with yourselves. So the menstrual cycle is called a cycle because it's a process and it lasts 28 days. The other word you may have heard it be called is a period, and it happens for a period of time, i.e. up to 28 days. And what happens is the estrogen and the progesterone hormones enable the eggs that are in the ovaries to ripen. And one egg tends to ripen at once on 1 month on the right hand side. And then the next month it will be another egg on the left hand side. And as the egg ripens, the lining of the womb will thicken. The egg then travels down the fallopian tube as the womb starts to thicken more. If it meets a sperm, then the egg will become fertilised. And if it doesn't, the egg dies and it trickles away out into your pants, and the lining of the womb is no longer needed. So that also breaks down and that trickles away into your pants as well. And that's what's known as a period. This part of the process lasts for about between 2 and 7 days and roughly has enough blood that would fill an egg cup. So it's not a huge amount, but because it's mixed with lots of different types of body fluid of the womb lining, it does feel a little bit more.
Hi everyone, it's Zoe again. So we're going to have a look now at some of the symptoms or the kind of things you might experience before you come onto your period. So one of the things you might have is you might get a little bit of a tummy ache or a little bit of sort of lower back pain, and it's quite normal, and you can just take something like paracetamol. It would just help with the pain a little bit, or you can perhaps get a hot water bottle or something like that, have a nice warm bath. That can kind of help with that. You might find, like we said before, if your hormones change, you might find just before your period you feel a little bit tearful, a little bit upset, you might be quite short-tempered, so things that didn't normally annoy you start to annoy you again. You might notice that you start to get a little bit of what we spoke about before, that discharge. You might notice a little bit of that in your pants before you come onto your period. And some people actually don't have any, so you might not know, and it might just be that you realise when you go to the toilet and you see some blood in your knickers. But everybody's very different, and normally it shouldn't impact on the kind of things you should still be able to do PE and sports and stuff like that. But it might just be that you have a little bit of paracetamol, or you take it a little bit easier, or have a hot water bottle and things like that. So Emma, what kind of things would you use if you came on your period?
Well, what I do is I've got this little cute makeup bag, and I put my sanitary products in there. And the reason I put it in something that's nice is that if I get bumped in the corridor and the sanitary towels come out of my bag, because my bag's strewn all over the floor, if I pick this up, no one's going to actually bat an eyelid and no one's going to notice what's in there. So what I've got is I've got some sanitary towels, and I've actually got one put into a pair of pants just to show you how they go. So they open up, and then inside they're super thin, so no one knows they're in there, and they come off, and there's some sticky on the back. There's some that have got wings that fold round, like this pair. So this is a very small pair of pants, and that's what you'd see from the outside, and that's the sanitary towel in the inside. So the blood would, obviously your bottom sits there, and the blood would dribble down and it would sit and get wicked away. It's a little bit like nappy technology in that this bit would keep really dry and you wouldn't really feel it, and the blood would get pulled into the cotton wool and be absorbed there. So I would keep quite a few in here so that I know then I've got some supplies. There's other things you can use, because if you want to go swimming, you can't use a sanitary towel because obviously this is going to get full of water and wet and heavy and fall off. So there's ideas you can use for swimming when you're a little bit older.
So this is what Emma means. So these are tampons. So they look a little bit different. They come in different shapes and sizes. So tampons, you a lot of girls will wait until they're a little bit older to use tampons, and that's because it's really important to understand your body, and because it's a little bit more intimate to pop them in. So I will show you how it works, which is the exciting bit. It's like a science lesson. So there's two different kinds. So the first kind is without an applicator. So I'll show you that first. So what you do is there's a little wrapper on the side there. So you just twist and you pull the plastic wrapper off there. That goes in the bin. And then on the very end, there's this string, okay? So this is the part that will go in the vagina, and that will absorb the blood. And the string is what stays outside of the vagina. So you pop the tampon inside, and then after however many hours, if you're quite heavy, you might just have it in for a few hours. You should definitely never leave it in any longer than 8 hours, but most people will have to change it a little bit more often than that. So once it's in the vagina, you'd leave it in as long as needs, or a few hours, and then when it's ready to come out, you would just pull on that piece of string and it comes out the vagina. So this is the fun bit. So if I pop this tampon into the water, you can see it's gone huge. It's soaked up all of that water, so you can see just how much it would absorb if it needed to. And I think a lot of people worry that, oh, what if it gets lost, or what if I can't get it out? You won't be able to get it lost because there is only one place it can go. And these strings are so strong. Oh, I've got water over myself now. They're so strong they won't break. Okay, so there's no chance of you pulling off that string and it getting stuck. The other option is, again, it's still a tampon, but this one comes with an applicator. Okay? So the tampon, like I showed you before, is just in the top end there, and all this part is just to help you pop it in, so it's cardboard. So what you would do, similar to the last one, is this top part will go into the vagina like that, and it's just to about there, just where the ridges are, and you'll be holding on to this part. And then what you do is you push the bottom part, and then you pull it away. So that's just to make it a little bit easier to go inside. But again, super strong. It's not going to get stuck. It won't break off, and they're very absorbent, as you can see. Try not to spit it all over myself this time. So that's really expanded. So they're really great. When you have finished using the tampon or the sanitary towel, if you're taking the tampon out, the best thing to do in lots of public places, there'll be a little box down by the side of the toilet, and you just wrap it up. So if it's your sanitary towel, you just pull it off your pants, wrap it up. You can wrap it in a bit of tissue, same for the tampon, and then you just put it in that bin, and then it's disposed of safely.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. So never ever put your sanitary towel down the toilet, because you will block the toilet and you won't be popular either at school or at home. The other thing you can use, because actually at the moment we're really aware that the products that we're using and then throwing away aren't very sustainable, so that it's obviously got a big cost for the planet. So some people are using something called a moon cup. Now I'm really sorry, we haven't actually got one that we can show on the video today, but they're like a little tiny plastic cup that gets inserted into the vagina, and it collects the blood, and then every couple of hours or so you take it out, you pour the blood down into the toilet, wash it out and pop it back up again. But they're becoming really quite usable and very environmentally friendly. Other people are using things like washable sanitary pants. So it's a pair of pants with the sanitary towel inside, but it's washable. So that at the end, after sort of every 5-6 hours or so, you would take your pants off, rinse them out in the sink, and then pop them in the washing machine. And that's really good and very absorbent.
So we thought it was quite important to ask some of the questions to each other that we thought you might be thinking about, because I think probably during this whole session you're all sat there with lots and lots of questions going through your head, and you might be a little bit worried about asking them, or a bit embarrassed or a bit shy. So we thought of some good questions that you might be thinking of. So my first question would be, if I was a bit worried, would be, Emma, what would we do, or what would someone in my class do if I came on my period at school? And will other people know if I've come on my period?
We get asked that question quite often when we're able to go in and do classroom sessions, because you never know when you're going to start your period. So it can be that you're absolutely fine in the morning, you go to the toilet, you sit there, you pull your pants down and think, oh, blimey. So the thing to do would be just to go and find someone in school that you really trust. Quite often schools have a few sanitary towels that you can use. So just find a teacher or a teaching classroom assistant that you trust, and they'll feel really honoured that you've actually gone to them. You can be rest assured that that won't get discussed with anybody, and because that's your private information. And the other thing about that Zoe said is, will anybody know? Well, no one will know unless you tell them. Your teachers have all had a period every month unless they're pregnant, and the chances are no one has noticed that if they're having their period. So unless you tell someone, absolutely no one will know. So that's really reassuring. My question is, I've started puberty and I've got lots of questions around growing up. I don't live with my family, and I can't ask them about it, but I feel embarrassed about asking my carer. So who should I speak to and what should I say?
I think that's a really good one, because not everybody does live with a mum or dad. They might live with a carer, they might live with an auntie. So it's just about finding someone who you trust and that who might have some answers. So that could be one of your teachers, like Emma said. You know, if ever you go in school and if you came on your period, if you could ask any of your teachers, I'm sure they'd be happy to answer any questions they've got. Or if you think, or I'd maybe like to speak to one of the school nurses, the teacher can contact us and we can perhaps contact you and talk things through with you. But it's just about finding somebody, whoever it is in your life. It might be a cousin, it might be a sister, it might be anybody who you trust and who you think might be able to answer the questions you can speak to. Anything else? I'm trying to think of a good one. What about Emma? Do you think, can I swim when I'm on my period, or can I have a bath?
Having a bath's really, really good, because actually if you've got a bit of tummy ache, and sometimes you have a bit of tummy ache, it's really useful to have a bath, because that takes away a little bit of the pain, and it's really useful to keep yourself clean as well. So when you're having a period, it's more important to have a bath every day than it is if you're not having your period and you decide that you want to wash one day. Swimming's a tricky one if you're only using sanitary towels. You would need to use the tampons that Zoe's gone through. But other forms of exercise are fantastic, and actually sometimes when you're on your period, it's actually really good to do some stretching, some moving, perhaps go for a little bit of a jog, perhaps just do some HIIT session or something, but just to get your body moving, that's also can be really helpful. So essentially carry on and do everything that you would normally do. It doesn't stop you from doing anything. But I suppose the big question, Zoe, is where do you buy them from?
So you can buy them from supermarkets. So when you're going on that hunt to find your deodorant or to find your face creams, because you're getting older and you're going to be washing your face, you can also go and have a look down some of the aisles and see if you can find any of these sanitary products. So you can have a look for the sanitary towels, you can have a look for the tampons, you might even be able to find some of the moon cups that we spoke about. But any sort of big supermarket, you could go to a Boots, a Superdrug, lots and lots of different places sell them, but supermarkets are a really easy one to go to and get them.
If I get caught short, say when the swimming pools have opened again, there's those funny boxes in the ladies' toilets.
Yeah.
Can I buy them from them?
Yeah, so they're like a little bit like a vending machine. So there's some of those, there's in gyms or around swim baths and things like that. So it's like a vending machine, but for sanitary products. So you just put your money in and you can get something out. Or, you know, if you're caught really, really short and perhaps you're on your way home, or you're out and about and there isn't anyone around to ask, you can, if you're in a really, really dire situation, just wrap up some tissue and then just pop that in your pants until you get somewhere where you can get a sanitary towel, or you get home and you can sort yourself out, because that might just be okay for a little bit until you can get something better.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. If you get caught at school, just ask your teachers, because most women will have a spare in their bag, and you can then obviously replace it with a fresh one when you next go into school. If you've got any other questions, please speak to your teacher. She probably will be able to answer every question much better than we can on this session. But we hope to come back next week and be able to sort of go through any questions that you've got about anything to do with puberty. Thank you.